For this activity, we are going to be using Geoboard. Geoboard is a Google app with a link that I will give you in Google Classroom. But just to kind of show you how it works, I'll be taking rubber bands and you can place them on the board, and then you can stretch out these rubber bands to make shapes. For example, squares. You can make triangles. If I want to get rid of a peg, I can just drop it. There we go. Now we've got a triangle. Any shape that you really want to make, you can just kind of move these around and stretch them out as much as you want. You can also have different colors. And then on the bottom here, we can have different pegboards, but we are mostly going to be using this first pegboard for this activity. So for this Geoboard activity, our learning goal is to develop complex shapes based on areas that are given. For our first example, I'm just going to jump right into an example and show you how I would do it. Develop a shape given the area 3. We're using any number of walls we want and any number of squares we want. So if I'm thinking about this, if I need an area of 3, the easiest way to come up with area is by using squares. And that's exactly what I did. Yes, this is all one shape, but you could break it down into 3 separate squares, just like this. As you can see, I've got 3 squares in here with all having the area of 1. I used any number of walls I wanted again, and any number of, what was the other thing? Oh, any number of squares. Yes, I only used 3 though. But I ended up getting 1 times 1 equals 1 from the formula, length times width equals area. For all of these 3 shapes, if I add them all together, that's an area of 3. Example number 2, we're going to develop a shape given the area. Again, we're using that same area 3. Number of walls that we're using on this one though is 4. So on the last one, we actually used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walls. On this one, we're only allowed to use 4. So this one's going to take a little bit of thinking, a little bit of playing around with it, but I ended up getting something that looked like this. Yes, it has 4 walls, but how do we know it actually has an area of 3? Well, if we break it down again I have 2 squares up at the top there, but then I also used the triangle formula on the bottom. With the triangle formula, I saw my base was 2, my height was 1, and the formula says I have to divide that by 2. So I ended up getting an area of 1 with that big triangle on the bottom. That's still an area of 3. I used 4 sides, and I used 2 squares. Example 3. Develop a shape given the area 3. Again, we're using that same area, but I'm just showing you that there are different possibilities for this same area. Number of walls that we're going to use here is 6 walls, just like we did in the first one, except the number of squares is actually 0, so we're not allowed to make squares here. So immediately my mind went to thinking about triangles and how I could develop something with triangles without using squares. This is the shape that I came up with. As you can see, you can't really make a square inside those pegs at all. So as long as it is an area of 4, we're good. Or I'm sorry, an area of 3. And yes, if you look at this, if I split it up into different triangles, the blue triangles are similar to the first ones we did, or actually the last ones we did in example 2. But the new red ones are actually 1/2 each for their areas. And again, I just took the base times the height and divided by 2 to get that. If you add all of those together, you're going to end up with 3. So the link to the activity is in Google Classroom. The activity directions, basically where you're going to be working on this, it's going to be on this top link. And then the Geoboard link is going to be on the bottom. And I will take you into your activity directions right now. So basically what you're going to be doing, and again, I put the Geoboard link in your directions as well in case you wanted to go from there. But question 1, I'm giving you an area. You're figuring out for the first one how many walls or squares you want. It's kind of up to you. As you go through the questions, they're going to get a little bit harder. So question 2, I'm making it more restrictive, all the way down to question 6, which is more of a challenging question. What I would like you to do is after you complete the question on the Geoboard, so for example, question 1, I just want you to screenshot it and put it on here and turn it in. Make sure you make a copy before you do this. That's the only way you're going to be able to edit it. But when you're done, you're going to turn it in via Google Classroom. Thanks for watching and good luck.